Another quick one about dopamine and endorphins, because I had a great call with a client about this, and here's something that you need to know. And I've made a video about this before, but I'm going to try to give you this one in as short of a message as possible. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter. Your brain and your nervous system works at 380,000 miles an hour. It's super fast. And if you ever look at just your brain and your nervous system on an anatomy scale or figure, it looks like a fucking alien jellyfish, just like crazy. And your nervous system works in ways that certain action potentials that exchange sodium and potassium send chemical and electrical signals up and down your body. These are known as afferent and efferent pathways. Pretty cool. Anyways, your nervous system works super fast and you have a bunch of different neurotransmitters, but dopamine is one of them. Dopamine is really processed in the brain, and it is a kind of win. It's a checkpoint. Dopamine wants more dopamine. It feels good. It makes your body feel good. The problem is, the same way that your brain can't really distinguish between a imagined event and a real one, your brain has a difficult time processing the differences between real dopamine and artificial dopamine. So when we experience real dopamine, right, like petting a dog or winning or accomplishing something at work, what you're doing is you are kind of moving forward in life. And dopamine is a good motivator, right? When your brain gets dopamine, it wants you to go and get more. Problem is, we live in a world full of artificial dopamine. And artificial dopamine, things like overdoing sex or porn or drugs or alcohol or checking social media, right? All of these things give us artificial dopamine, which isn't inherently bad. When you overdo it, what happens is you start to max yourself out on this proverbial dopamine scale. So think about it. If you're at plus 1,000 on the dopamine scale, and that's as high as it can go because you've ingested so much artificial dopamine from drinking and doing drugs and having sex last night and whatever, all the things. When you're at plus 1,000, your brain and your body wants homeostasis. It wants to relax. In order to reset to homeostasis, in this case, we'll use 0 as homeostasis. Your body has to go to negative 1,000 on the dopamine scale in order to reset finally back at 0. And when you go from plus 1,000 to negative 1,000, that's a swing of 2,000, those feelings associated with a decrease in that number will give you feelings of anxiety and depression and withdrawal and worry and anxiety more, right? And depression more, like all of these things. And it will make you feel like shit, right? And it will put you in a state of not being motivated or being lethargic, etc., etc., etc. When you overdo it with dopamine, you decrease your motivation, right? Dopamine should be used as a randomized reward for you, the same way that you would train a dog to sit, but maybe not give it a treat every single time that it sits. You need to train your brain and your body that way in order to increase and sustain motivation. That's super important to know. Now, endorphins, other point. Endorphins block out pain, okay? Endorphins are a hormone. They're a complex hormone. And the 4 primary ways that you get endorphins are through working out, meditation, helping other people, and also achieving a win. But when you achieve a win, you don't get as much sort of endorphins. And most people, right, know what a runner's high is. When you run a long distance or a marathon, you kind of get these second and third wins. When you run and you put your body into survival mode and you burn out all of your carbs and almost all of your energy and your ATP is just going and going and going, your body's in survival mode and it releases these hormones called endorphins, which bind to pain receptors called nociceptors, which help you block out pain, okay? It's actually a survival mechanism that benefits you, but that's when runners kind of get their second win because these endorphins bind to these receptors and now your body just can't feel pain. So pretty cool there. But long story short, endorphins don't have a negative scale. So if you're working out, you're helping people, you're meditating, you're doing breath work, you're doing things that give you hormones and endorphins, that's a good thing. But if you're chasing artificial dopamine endlessly, you're killing your motivation and you're going to experience a withdrawal stage at some point. And you need to find a way to balance that. You need to get off social media as much, spend more time harmonizing outside, get in some sunlight, go eat good food, okay? And understand that those feelings of lethargy, depression, withdrawal, anxiety, right, after drinking, all of these things are natural phenomena. They're supposed to occur. Don't fight it. Don't try and go get medicine. Don't try to block it out or distract it or just double down and do more of the thing that made you feel this way in the first place. understand this process, remember this process, because if you can narrow this down and explain this to someone else, a lot more things in your life are going to make a lot more sense, and you're going to have more brain space to do the other shit you want to do. All right, see you guys in the next one. Hit me up if you want one-on-one or group coaching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.